You add plenty of vegetables like efo, ugu, and season with the rich taste of Knorr seasoning cubes. Even better.
So, go ahead and elevate your meals with more vegetables and the rich taste of Knorr cubes. Today, eat for good.
This is Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos.
Knowledge is power, information is key, and that is why we aim to unlock the doors of opinion, unveiling the stories that need to be told. Join Omobola Sandra and Sage Babalola on the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM from 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. as we invoke the thought-provoking discussion, tackle the tough questions, challenge assumption, and give a voice to the unheard. This is the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM.
Welcome on board the Morning Express.
Good morning.
Hello and good morning indeed to you and yours. This is Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. My name is Sage Babalola, and I of course welcome you to another episode of the Morning Express today, the 22nd day in the month of February 2024. It's raining again. I think the rain is here to stay. I just wish it didn't rain in the mornings because it definitely obstructs traffic. But regardless, I think it's still some sort of respite, and the heat wave have been reduced significantly because of the rains. But it's all great. It's a pleasure to have you on radio as always. Please keep it in your calendar if you need to. Mondays through to Fridays from 5 a.m. all the way to 11 a.m. we have the Morning Express that constitute a number of programs, mostly programs where you can call in and air your opinion about the matters or the conversations that we have on radio. My name is Sage Babalola. You're listening to Trends in the Papers. This is a segment of the Morning Express where for about 45 minutes we look through our dailies, especially the stories that made it to the front pages or the front covers. We have analysis about the stories, basically keeping you up to date with all of the events that played out yesterday till this very morning. New stories, developing stories, the papers carry them, and then we present these stories to you and also provide you with more information regarding the stories, including things that led up to the particular information that we have as reported on the front pages of our dailies. Sage Babalola is my name once again. You are listening to analyze the stories as we go through them. Fuad Said, good morning to you. How are you today?
Yeah, good morning, Sage. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm assuming that you'll be stuck in traffic or something.
Well, not too much of traffic in town today, but the road is a bit free, I think, for Thursday.
It wasn't free. It wasn't free for me. I saw Shiggy.
Well, it depends on the part of Lagos. On my own route.
Don't abuse me. Don't abuse me.
you know you are saying in Lagos extension.
Don't, please. You don't need to. You don't have to expose our secret to the outside world. It's okay.
But it's a good weather. It's a good weather. I think the heavens are smiling on Lagos and as in other parts of the country too.
Yeah.
Because again the heat has been so bad. So the rains are coming quite early.
Yeah,
what do you think?
Yeah, of course. I mean, why is it raining? I already told you the first day it rained. If it starts to snow in Lagos, I would not bat an eye. I'll just take it as that's our new reality now. The weather it's hard to follow the timetable for the weather right now.
But can we attribute that to something?
We cannot attribute it to anything, Fuad. We have the Punch newspaper, we have the Guardian newspaper, and we have the Vanguard newspaper. So let's start conversation by looking at the Punch newspaper. TUC NLC split as DSS warns Labour against planned protest. That is what we have as the top story on the front page of the Punch. The riders, NLC took protest decision unilaterally. TUC alleges vows to stay away from demonstration. Ajero accuses DSS of blackmail. Agency warns Labour against plot to destabilize nation. Before I get into the body of that story, please remember that we're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. So please join the show via our social media platforms. Mainland 98.3 FM is how you find us on Facebook and on YouTube. Mainland 98.3 FM. On X, we are at that announcement properly. But then, back to the story, Fuad. The TUC NLC split as DSS warns Labour Congress over the high cost of living, inflation, insecurity, and hardship in the country. The vice president of the TUC, Tommy Etim, told The Punch on Wednesday that the decision to protest on February 27 and 28, as announced by the NLC, was not taken collectively by both unions. And Etim, in an interview, also confirmed that a letter was addressed to the NLC president, adding that by virtue of the letter, there is no way they can join the protest. So, Fuad, of course, it's not news that the NLC had given the federal government a 14-day ultimatum to fulfill the promises they made with the 16-point MOU that was signed last year, October 2nd, if we want to be precise. And that ultimatum has elapsed today, February 22. And the labor bodies have they jointly actually announced that if the content of the MOU is not fulfilled, they would go on strike, but they did not give a precise date. So the TUC is backing out now because they're accusing the NLC of taking decisions behind their back. I mean, we jointly agreed for a 14-day ultimatum, but then you unilaterally took a decision to announce dates for protest. So there is no synergy. You clearly do not, appreciate our contribution to this movement, and so we will not be joining you for the strike. Is this a good enough reason to pull away? And what do you even generally think about the decision to protest on the 27th and on the 28th?
Well, I'm hoping that our labor leaders on both platforms, the NLC and the TUC, would understand that, look, when it comes to struggles like this, the mantra should be united we stand, divided we fall. I've always said it that, look, in their negotiations with government at this time, they have to find a way to go for what they call a living wage, whether you call it a minimum wage or living wage, or something that at least will bring some respite for their members, and they are at least divided. I have my fears. You understand?
Yeah.
They jointly announced the 14-day ultimatum, and that's what the TUC leaders are saying. That, look, as independent unions, we jointly made this announcement of a 14-day ultimatum, and that they were surprised when the NLC, as led by the Comrade Joe now announced that they were going to be going on a 2-day plan. I doubt if there's anything that has been done as to the agreement Labour reached with the federal government on October 2nd, 2023. You understand? I'm sure the 14 days at the last and nothing has been done. Because again, we have not seen any announcement from government to show that, look, the wage award has now been paid fully. Other things that were agreed on October 2nd with Labour have been done. So what you see saying is that, look, if we jointly agreed on the 14-day ultimatum, we should also jointly agree on what to do next after the expiration of the 14-day ultimatum. But Labour had gone ahead to announce unilaterally a 2-day protest, and that they were going to be backing out of that protest. Well, again, I don't know what protest can achieve, other than just making a statement, because you asked me whether indeed going on a protest would have been able to achieve anything. I think it's about statement making. It doesn't achieve beyond just making the statement. Other than the fact that people are also apprehensive and afraid that, look, the protest itself can be hijacked. But beyond that, I don't think, you go out on the street, put up your members, energy, so much energy, they sing solidarity songs, clap hands, maybe picket one or two offices, and then you have maybe one or two governors or government officials address labor members, and then after 2 days, everything goes back to status quo. I'm sure that the two labor leaders will be reaching out to themselves, two unions will be sitting out together to see how to harmonize their different positions. Because again, if they are not united, if they go into negotiations with government, this current struggle, I call it a struggle because in community, that is the word we use, it's a struggle. And even in our own days as student union leaders, we go into struggle in unison. United we stand, divided we fall is always the mantra. And I think this is what the labor leaders must understand at this time.
Right.
If they go into that negotiation divided, I'm sure they're going to come out completely defeated by government. Because again, as to what they're going to be getting at this time, they have to be united and put on their thinking cap. So it is what it is. We are hoping that the leaders will understand that a lot of Nigerians are also looking up to them. Because what they are able to achieve with the government on this minimum wage negotiation will serve as a form of springboard for some other negotiations outside of the labor arrangement.
Well, Fuad, speaking of apprehensiveness, the DSS have actually warned the NLC to shelve the planned protest because you understand that the security situation is already volatile, and the DSS is saying it can be hijacked. Now, Georgia or the NLC, let me say that, have accused the DSS following this warning of blackmail. You're blackmailing us, and you're accusing, and you're giving unsolicited advice. I'm trying to use the exact words that were being used here. So Georgia is saying this is just blackmail, and you're giving unsolicited advice. I don't know if you also heard of, the narrative that is coming out now that even this protest are being sponsored by, the opposition, amongst other things. What do you think about this back and forth with the DSS and the labor body as well?
Well, this is always a strategy. You see, when the protest is planned, you have hijacking to foment trouble, blah blah blah. You see, I think that, and I think it was one of the callers yesterday on midweek politics that said labor. They are more organized. The police can work with them. If the DSS have identified people who want to hijack the protest, they can also swoop in on those people now. Because if the DSS is saying that, they already have intel that there are people who want to hijack and stop them from doing whatever they want to do, and then also give that same intelligence to labor to say, look, for your members, we are very sure that you guys are not going to foment any trouble other than the normal peaceful protest you're going to have. But we have this information about some people here and there, maybe states or locations. And then, of course, work with the police to ensure that labor leaders during the protest are well protected so that it doesn't descend into chaos and anarchy. But to tell them not to go on the protest, you see, I said it yesterday on Midweek Politics Day. I think the government should not be too much concerned about what labor is trying to do with protest or no protest. See, I think they should be more concerned about the silent protest going on in the minds of ordinary Nigerians at this time that can balloon out of control without any plan. I said it, when the Arab Spring was going to start, nobody expected it. The Arab Spring NSAS was going to start. See, nobody had thought that it was going to get, and people can't even remember how the people start. How the people start to converge to the extent that it now became a national problem. And you know that bullet down also. People talk about Lekki Tōgè, as if it started in Lekki Tōgè. No. So what I'm saying is that, look, if the labor leaders are calling for a protest, so that's even a more organized way of putting up their grievances, to the government. And I'm sure the police authorities, the security operatives can work with them. And remember, whatever labor is able to achieve also affects the security operatives because they are also government workers. They also feel the same thing labor leaders are talking about. They are also suffering the same thing Nigerians are suffering at this time when it comes to hardship and the cost of living. You understand what I'm saying? So we should not live in denial. I am hoping that the government will not continue to live in this denial and create this imaginary illusion in their minds. Because when I heard the Senate president, then it's Augustine Fabio, saying that some of these protests are sponsored, I'm like, well, I don't know whether any Nigerian that is hungry now needs any sponsorship to begin to ventilate their anger and frustration as to the conditions of the country at this time. That's why I say that in the minds of the other Nigerians who is going through this suffering, there's a silent protest going on. And that's why northern leaders, the northern emirs are saying we are sitting on the keg of gunpowder and that this is the time for the government to quickly do something to arrest the situation before it balloons out of control. I'm hoping that the government will take these messages seriously and do something very, very fast to stem the tide.
Right. That's on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Again, we're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. So please go to our streaming platforms, either Facebook or YouTube, whichever you find most convenient. Join the show and you can start to drop your submission in real time. That's the advantage of the streaming platform. Although we can't take those messages immediately, but when we start to take contribution, we can always refer back to them. So please go to our Facebook platform or our YouTube platform, Mainland 98.3 FM, and join the live stream. stream. You're listening to Trends in the Papers on Mainland 98.3 FM. My name is Sage Babalola. Fuad Said is still here virtually, and together we are reviewing the stories that are being reported on the front pages of our dailies. We're still looking at the front page of The Punch. We have here, motorists groan as fuel scarcity hits Lagos hard. That's the story. There were long queues in many filling stations across Lagos through the National Association of Road Transport Owners. Despite the fact they called off the strike, the queues, the Punch gathered, started building up in some parts of Lagos on Tuesday. The queue was born out of fear by Nigerians that premium motor spirit might become scarce as a result of the now suspended NATO strike. On Tuesday and Wednesday, Nigerians stormed filling stations to engage in panic buying, and it was learnt that the refusal of the tanker drivers to lift fuel on Monday and Tuesday had also affected filling stations owned by independent marketers, many of whom had run out of supply. Fuad, I don't even want to begin to narrate the experience of the average Nigerian who's trying to get fuel at this time. The queues extended into even the major roads. It has started to cause traffic on major roads. A lot of people cannot buy fuel. A lot of people are turning to the black market at this time. 5 liters for as high as 9,000 naira for the roadside sellers. A lot of independent marketers have started to restrict the amount of people that can even buy PMS at their filling station. It's been ridiculous. But this report is telling us that it is because of the decision of NATO, the National Association of Road Transport Owners, their decision to not lift fuel on Monday and Tuesday. The information triggered some sort of panic buying, and so people are rushing to filling station. And so this scarcity might actually be artificial scarcity. It's not because the supply has been depleted, but people are panic buying because they are afraid that the now suspended NATO strike would trigger some sort of extreme scarcity in the long run. What do you think, Fuad?
See, I think this morning I've gone past about 5 to 6 filling stations, and I think it's only about 2 of them that are dispensing fuel at this time, selling. You have queues, people waiting, hoping that they will sell. So I think it's a two-way thing now. I think the NATO announcement of a possible strike had led to some form of panic buying. That people are so and all of that. So people were on the edge, of course, at trying to get supply. They just fill up their tanks for those that have the money to do that. But there's also a problem with supply. There's a supply shortfall too. So like I said, if I've gone past about 6 filling stations this morning and only about 2 are selling, and in all of them you have the queues. In the 4 that are not selling, you have cars parked, long queues of motorists hoping that they will sell. That should tell you that there's a problem with supply. Well, maybe that would get back to normal, because again, the NMPCL is still saying that look, there's no problem with supply.
Yeah.
They have enough stock.
Yeah.
The NATO guys have said that they are still lifting. So maybe there's just a disruption, a temporary disruption. But the reality is that there's a form of scarcity. So whether that is now compounded by panic buying, it is what would wait to see. I'm sure by tomorrow we'll have a clearer picture as to what really is going on. But calling panic buying, say there's scarcity, something is wrong somewhere, and people are struggling to get supply. There's a lot of queues in most filling stations, at least in Lagos as we speak. I don't know of other states, but in Lagos we have
in other states as well. It's not just in Lagos. It's the report says it spreads to other states as well. But I think Lagos is somewhat most affected because they're laying a lot of emphasis on Lagos actually. All
right, so that's the situation. But we'll continue. I think it's a developing story. We'll continue to monitor things as it goes. But like I said, you have these queues here and there. I think it's just a result of the supply greed somewhere. Maybe that will be fixed. Today, tomorrow, normalcy will return. But we have a problem with panic buying.
And to normal, because please, we're paying ridiculous amount of money for transportation. Now, the past 2 days have been ridiculous, paying as high as 1,000 naira from Yanokpaja to Yaba. Like they're charging, and you can't even fault the drivers because they're also trying to maximize profit. And yesterday, when I had my guest, I was asking the question that where do we draw the line between, vendors trying to maximize profit and consumer extortion? Because I don't even know if to call it extortion at this point, because I understand understand they struggle to get PMS, but to charge such exorbitant amount of money for services is really starting to affect people badly. It's affecting my mental health. What?
If there was smooth supply, nobody would try to take advantage. It's only when there are problems with supply, when the queues are long, then of course you have commercial bus operators, transport operators, also having a reason to justify some of their ridiculous high price. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because also issues and the supply of PMS to motorists in the country.
Right. Okay. That's on page 24 of the Punch newspaper. Let's talk a little bit about politics in Edo State. For the Edo APC,
What are they rerunning?
they will rerun it now. When the governor said this is his own winner, returning officer said this is his own winner. Somebody that says representing local government say this is their own winner. How many people do INEC want to?
So they will rerun the 3 or run 1.
They say they're going to
they
rerun the governor. Come the decision of the national leadership of the party was ready for the rerun, holding today, adding that the state ESCO would speak further after the exercise. So they're basically just telling us that extra details will be provided after the exercise today, but they're rerunning the entire thing. But they didn't say we are cancelling the old one. They just said they're rerunning. But you have to cancel to rerun. I mean, that's what the law says, right? You have to announce a cancellation.
Well, you see, our politicians are wonderful people. And that's why people keep asking us, is this democracy working? Yesterday, Dr. Coco was asking me, is this our type of democracy? And I said, thank God I said it's our type. Because if you had said, is democracy working in Nigeria, I would have had serious problem answering this question. But he helped me by saying, this is our type of democracy. Work, corrupt, alien kind of democracy. A governorship primary, and has not been able to clear really what are the rules for conducting primary elections in the party, because it was supposed for the APC in Edo State. Party has been in power since 2015. It's a party that is well structured. It's even the ruling party at the national level. You understand?
Right.
So one would have thought that the committee was set up. The former governor, the governor of Imo State, who has now been removed, was the chairman of the committee to conduct the primary. He had other aides and all of that. I thought that there would have been rules as okay, we are doing direct primary. Everybody come out, all party members come out at what level vote to count. This is going to be the collation process. And then this is the person that has the mandate to announce results. Is it the chairman of the committee, or the returning officer, or the man representing returning officers at the different local government level? And there was supposed to be a rule. And now that the party is announcing, as of yesterday, the information the party gave, I said that by their publicity secretary, in another breath, what we are hearing is that, look, the entire process has been cancelled and they are going to start all over. That is even coming from the public secretary of the party. So we are now wondering, look, this process that they are going to do today, the APC, are they starting afresh, or they are starting from where they concluded? If they are going to start from where they concluded on Saturday, then that will be complete confusion, because they concluded by producing 3 candidates. And then if they are starting afresh, what will be the model? What will be the rules guiding the conduct of the primary in itself? Don't forget that, look, the same National Working Committee that is now issuing statements to say that they're going to complete the process today or start all over today, and actually congratulated one of the candidates, Dennis Idahosa. So what we are saying is that why didn't they wait before jumping into conclusion to congratulate one of the? In fact, the publicity secretary of the party had even warned other people to ignore any other result that has been announced. That the only person that can announce results that the National Working Committee will recognize is Uzodimma, who was the chairman of the committee. Now, Hope has been removed. The governor of Cross River State has been deployed to go and conduct the elections now. So you look at the entire thing and you understand why our politicians will never want to allow democracy to work for us. Because it's supposed to be a very simple process. And it's a party affair that is supposed to be seamless, that's supposed to come without any form of rancor. Yes, they say. With the Senator Adams Oshiomhole, the senator representing Edo North, have been a bit quiet. But party members have been pointing fingers at him. They've been pointing towards the direction for this crisis of the party. Yesterday, Senator Sᴏᴜᴅ replied those people because he was at the presidential villa to see the president. And after meeting with the president, he now addressed the press. And I was shocked about to answer to what he was saying. The first thing he said yesterday was that he had come to see the president and that the president had given him the mandate to address the press on the crisis in Edo State. That although the president confirmed that he doesn't have a voting right in Edo State, but he was interested as the leader of the APC in what was going on in Edo State. One. The second one was that, look, he now began to where we say that he doesn't believe in turn-by-turn politics. You know what he's calling turn-by-turn politics? Saying?
What's that?
He's saying that, look, it should be a shelter for everybody. You don't understand what you are saying. In a party that kept saying that, no, it was time for the South to produce the president. Right. Now you have a senator saying that, no, when it comes to Edo State and the APC, nobody should bring turn by turn.
Why do the rules change? You know, presidential and state elections, the rules, you know, are being bended in a manner of speaking. Why does that happen frequently?
Because the politicians will bend the rules when the narrative suits them. They are not committed to anything. So when you say politicians talk about equity, fairness, and justice, we have to respect. It is only when their interest is involved that they commit to those things or bring it. When they are interested, they will bend everything and then come up with narrative to justify their, because you know the narrative is Edo State general.
Yeah.
Even within the APC and the PDP, is that look, there's a territorial zone that has not produced governor for a long while. In fact, the last time they produced a governor, the governorship ended in 8 months. And I look back to back, Edo North has produced a governor, successive governors, Edo South has produced governors, and that now it is time for sake of equity, fairness, and justice. It is a written rule among most of the politicians in Edo State that look, it is time for Edo Central to produce a governor. You know the man that people are saying that Sᴏᴜᴅ is supporting, Jenny Peter Osa, a very young man, 42 years, is from Edo North. Whereas the senator that people like Ize Yamu and the returning officer declared winner, Senator Monday Okpebolo, is from Edo Central. So I was shocked to hear from the mouth of Senator Sᴏᴜᴅ yesterday that all this that he doesn't believe in turn by turn politics. That it should be about fair contest. You will see that tomorrow. The same senator that justice, it should not be about just one region. Today now, because we want something else. He doesn't believe in turn by turn politics, which means he doesn't even believe in zoning. I remember that one of the things that favored Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to get the candidature. So you can say our politicians that you see these people. So anyway, we'll be waiting to see what the APC will do in Edo today, because INEC is waiting for them. Tomorrow is the deadline, and they must do whatever they want to do today. So whether they rerun or they take it from where they start on, and I think from where they start on Saturday will bring more confusion. So I'm thinking what they will do is to cancel the entire process and start afresh.
Probably.
But whether some other candidates will accept that or not, you see, it's just unfortunate the kind of democracy we practice and the behavior that comes from our politicians. Some of them will expect to be above God when it comes to behavior and character. But it is what it is. PDP also has its own.
All the parties have their own issue. There's the Labour Party, but we're going to get to that as we progress with the conversation. Let us join everything together. Fracas is on page 16 of the Punch newspaper. Thank you to all of those joining us on our Facebook stream. Please continue to the FM. The Punch newspaper is what we're currently reviewing at this time. We have here, Senate rejects electricity tariff hike, probes 2 trillion naira subsidy. Now, the Senate has kicked against plans by the Ministry of Power to approve the proposed hike in electricity tariff by distribution companies. The Senate also rejected plans to remove electricity subsidy given the present hardship in the country. The Senate then called on the government to step down the idea of an increase in electricity tariff. The upper chamber has also directed the Committee on Power to investigate the 2 trillion naira required for electricity subsidy payment and other debts owned in the sector and the state of metering in the country. Fuad, it seems like the Senate is not on board with plans by stakeholders in the power sector, especially the discos, to hike electricity tariff. Remember that, what's his name now? Adebayo Adelabu, that's his name. Yeah, he had said that we cannot sustain the payment of electricity subsidy and it would have to be removed. But the Senate is saying this is not the right time to do that. People cannot afford to pay more for electricity, and they're in fact probing 2 trillion naira that was supposed to be paid as electricity subsidy and some of the monies that are being owed to the discos. What?
Well, the Senate, I think, they've been able to read the room on this. And basically what they are doing is to just speak for the people now. I think the major thing with this electricity subsidy is for us to have some form of accountability as to how these figures are arrived at. How did we get to the point of now talking about 3 trillion? What I'm saying?
Yeah.
What amounts to electricity subsidy? What exactly are we paying for? What? You understand what I'm saying?
I'm with you.
Let's because again, that was how petroleum subsidy started, though, until it became a problem and then it had to be removed. Because it was the same question of lack of transparency, corruption in the subsidy regime on PMS and other petroleum products that has led us to where we are now. So on electricity, I think that what we should do is to open the books and understand what amounts to electricity subsidy. What is that thing we are paying for? Yes.
I'm sorry, it's because the explanation from the power sector has been that's because of the estimated billing. Those who are using estimated billing, the monies are usually too much, and so there's a need to have to pay for that. So cost reflective is the only way that we can really phase out paying subsidy on electricity. That's the narrative.
That is even for the discos to sort out. If it's about estimated billing, blah blah blah, and all of that, because we have said it that look. The easiest way, for example, to have some fairness when it comes to billing of consumers, electricity consumers, is to ensure that everybody is on the prepaid platform. At least every consumer, if not every, maybe about 95% ability. So you know what you're buying, you know what you're paying for. You can even calculate the tariff as to the units of power you're buying.
Yeah.
But beyond even the issue of the subsidy of electricity we're talking about is that look, this is supposed to be the tariff.
Yeah.
That rest, the one we are paying, that's one that government is paying. That's what does it? Where is the calculation coming from? Where is you should understand what I'm saying?
Maybe cost of operation, gas, and
which
everything.
Operation?
They don't have access to gas.
Yeah,
the gas. You know, we're even owing the gas codes in a manner of speaking. That that's why cost of operation.
What are the calculations on? What are the calculations? Is the management of subsidy in Nigeria that is the problem? And it's because for every good thing that happens in other places that government used to better the lives of the people or reduce suffering of the people, it comes to Nigeria, we just model it up, we mess it up with corruption. And I'm suspecting that there's a corruption agenda to this electricity subsidy regime in the country. And we should try to sort that out and stay away from the idea of removing subsidy on electricity.
With the Senate, rejecting the tariff hike.
Even before the Senate said it, we said it now that they should not die.
Well, you can get more details on page 24 of the Punch newspaper. Let's just look through the remaining stories. We have 10 billion naira fraud, EFCC to arraign ex-Kwara governor Ahmed on Friday. Credible sources at the anti-graft agency has said the ex-governor will be dragged before the Federal High Court in Ilorin, the Kwara state capital. He'll be arraigned on Friday at the Federal High Court for diversion of funds amounting to 10 billion naira, the source had told Punch correspondent. So it's a court matter. Would you like to elaborate or say anything on that?
No. It's just that yes, it's because of his refusal to join the APC. The reality is that look, if he has a case, he should go and answer the case simply. And I'm surprised that the EFCC, maybe part of the cases, the EFCC is trying.
Hello. Oh, okay. Apologies. We're going to get Fuad back online in just a few minutes. Trends in the papers on Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. We're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM. On X, we are at Mainland FM. It's trends in the papers. We're looking at the Punch, although we are done with that now. We are about to move to the Guardian newspaper with conversations. But let's look at this one story on the front page of the Punch. Finally, it's an FM intraday rate. So it's still more woes with the forex crisis that were going on in the country despite all that's that particular story. So we're just going to maybe move to the Guardian newspaper and look at the stories that have been reported. I think we have Fuad back now. Fuad.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes.
I'm here.
Do you want to conclude that so we move to the Guardian?
No. We just hope that the EFCC will, if he has a case to answer, they conclude on the case, prosecute diligently, because it's a case that has been there for some time, and so many other cases. So,
newspaper. The top story here: Customs 5 trillion naira target threatens trade, heightens price crisis. The riders sees 65% drop in importation. Port experts predict worse crisis. Now, the frequent hike of the import duty rates may have triggered a crisis at the Nigeria of Benin. The trend has caused a substantial decrease in cargo importation and business activities at the Nigeria seaport. Fuad, very briefly, you remember that the import duties have been increased at least, I think, 5 times.
Five times.
Yes, 5 times, like a
February.
month. Yes, in like a month, and the month isn't over yet. And for this, all of these things in combination with the forex issues, is now saying that there is a major crisis happening at the ports at this time, and importation has ridiculously been affected.
Imagine giving the customs 5 trillion naira.
Are they a revenue generating aid? I want to understand.
Duties and all of that means that apart from regulations of imports, exports, and all of that, period where businesses are struggling. A lot of businesses are struggling because of the import duty. In fact, car sellers, a lot of them will run out of business anytime soon.
They have run out.
In fact, a lot of them, some of them have even run out of business. I don't even bother the case with selling of cars, and that's why in Nigeria now, Nigerian used cars are selling, and the prices have gone through the roof. The normal cars we used to buy for 1.72 million naira now, you struggle to get it at 4.55 million naira. When I say normal cars, small, I don't want to mention names and brands. So it's gotten to that point where this is the first time in my adult life that I'm seeing that you buy a car, despite the depreciation and the years of using, you will still sell the car now, sell used car at higher the price. But
it's an appreciating commodity now. Weird.
In the past, we used to say that car is not an asset. So you go and buy it and you drive out of the garage, it starts to depreciate. It's not anymore. Some of more of what you bought a car that you've been using like 3 years ago, because Tokumbo cars now have become too expensive for people to buy. Honestly, we keep talking about this economy. The only guys that are not complaining now are the politicians and their cronies and business associates. Ordinary Nigerians can't even afford these things. And it's not only cars. The same thing people who are producing cement are saying. The same thing pharmaceutical companies are saying. Manufacturers are saying the same thing too. Even NATO, one of the things they gave that look, the cost of getting spare parts for their trucks and all of that has become a problem. So while the government is looking to make a lot of money, giving these kinds of targets, the people are suffering. That's why people are saying that, look, the government needs to sit down to review some of its policies. Policies on aggressive tax regime has to be looked at. This is the time to support businesses, and there are even businesses and sectors that are already appealing for some form of, duty waivers and duty grants and tax waivers and grants, so that they can remain in business. Because immediately, what the customs are saying is that they got a circular from the CBN that now, henceforth, continue to calculate your duty from the dollar rate in the parallel market. So as the rate is changing, the duty is changing. See, in fact, there was a day one of the importers told me that in a day, duty rate got raised by 2 times in a day. And the customs said that dollar, so as the dollar goes up, duty goes up.
Yeah.
So how would importers survive that kind of regime?
Right. Well,
that's why we're saying that the government needs to calm down, look at their priorities. Right. It's just about making money, but businesses are dying.
Fuad, thank you very much. Let's pick up the pace a little bit. That's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. We have here, Tinubu gave governors 30 billion naira each to address food shortage. And the president of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has affirmed that every governor had been allocated extra 30 billion naira to address the food scarcity and hardship confronting Nigeria. He advised that each of the state government in the last few months had received additional 30 billion from the Federal Inland Revenue Service outside their normal allocation from the Federation's account to assist them in ameliorating the food situation. Yesterday on the Situation Room, I highlighted the inflation in different states. We have kind of, for example, 33 point something percent food inflation in that one state and different states across the country as well. And now we're hearing the Senate President saying that aside from, the 2 billion that came out from the initial 5 billion, he's telling us that they got as much as 30 billion naira to help them. So there's no reason why the food crisis should be this intense.
See,
yes.
The Senate President, we have the report now that you governors, apart from your normal FAC allocation and all of that, from the Internal Revenue Service, you guys also got some extra 30 billion. Did you send any governor say anything about it?
Fam.
What bizarre? See, you don't understand this thing. And since the Senate President said what he has said, they have no governor has come up to deny. I didn't get 30 billion.
Deny what?
No, I said, when you cut her, and that's what we are telling the president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He is our president, where they're thinking his own personal, in his quiet moment. Now, to make a lot of money, we just talked about duty, import duty now. Money. With the promise that, look, and as they are driving to make a lot of money, a lot of Nigerians are getting poorer. Now, the promise of government is that, look, when we now make all of this money, we will route the money to the political class. See, the governors got 2 billion. Consistently, in the last 6 months, the governors have been sharing very good allocations, back or triple of what they used to get during the Buhari government. Now, the Senate President also just hinted us that they got about 30 billion naira.
To only the federal face the government.
Hope that you are going to make people poorer by raising money for government, for the government to now use the money to better their. Nothing will happen. And that is what we are saying. Now that they are making good money, the governors are not complaining again. That's why all of them came to Lagos in December now to come and celebrate with the president. Baba, you are doing well for us. But Nigerians are suffering. Nigerians can't still feel the impact. They will not feel the impact because this is an extremely corrupt political class. I say it with my mouth. And that, look, policies of government should be tailored towards the corruption index in the country. When you are trying to look, that's why we are appealing to the president to sit back again and review this thing. You have to tailor your policy against the corruption index in the country. You must realistically understand that, look, your corruption index will determine the success of your policies, whether you like it or not. Now, where is the money now? Where is the impact of the money the government is giving to the political class now?
We don't know. Well, we have run out of time, unfortunately. Yes. Well, other stories here. Abure arrested in Edo as aggrieved candidate seek his prosecution. I think this is in connection, according to the report, with first the accusation that he substituted candidates and, the financial misappropriation allegation going on within the party. But then is his arrest, the method of his arrest is what is sparking controversy. That he was being dehumanized. He was sitting on the floor. I saw the pictures and everything. But that's the issue at this time. The police have not given any. We are hearing that as a release that was released yesterday evening. Yeah. Right. So it's just the mode of arrest that has really been the subject of conversation. I don't know why we go into this Gestapo kind of arrest, and we are not barbarians now. Things should be done more decently. Right. Well, the front page of the Daily Trust, federal government yet to release free grains to Nigeria. No food items with us yet, says NEMA. Benue government issues 14-day quit notice to headers. Naira gains as security operatives sustain raid on BDCs. And federal government to reintegrate repentant terrorists. Maybe when we come back from Mainland Focus, we can take about 3 minutes to talk about that before we open the phone lines. But this is Trends in the Papers. Actually, Trends in the Papers for today has ended. We're going to go on a commercial break. Come back at 8:40 a.m. for Mainland Focus. My name is Sage Babalola, and this is Mainland 98.3 FM. Please stay with us.